Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment. Okay, so those on the left say that anybody that comes into this country, even illegally, okay, if they're born on American soil or even in, in an American territory, they are automatically American citizens. And they'll say, hey, it says it very, very plain and clearly in the 14th Amendment. However, in the 14th Amendment, there's an exception in there, okay? The exception is subject to the jurisdiction of, okay, subject to the jurisdiction of. So the question now is, why would they put those words in there, right? Why did they put subject to the jurisdiction of? Because the people that wrote the 14th Amendment were basically lawyers, right? Every word counts. So if they're putting in there subject to the jurisdiction of, they're trying to exclude certain people. They're trying to include certain people. They're trying to exclude certain people. So it's very clear that the people that they wanted to include were the children of the freed slaves. Okay, absolutely no question about that. That's who they wrote this for. Okay, anybody that has any understanding of American history, they're going to say, yeah, it's pretty obvious they wanted to include the children of the freed slaves. However, all right, those on the left say, hey, I thought you guys were textualists, that like every word counts and you got to go by the written word at the time that it was written. And yes, we will go by the written word at the time that it was written. And the question becomes, what does subject to the jurisdiction of mean? Who were they trying to exclude? So the people that they were specifically, absolutely, without a question, trying to exclude, okay, was the American Indians, right? 100%, no question about that. They were going through great lengths to exclude Indians from American society. They didn't want them to have citizenship. They drove them out of the lands to the point that unfortunately, they killed the buffalo, almost exterminated the buffalo in North America, in order to starve the Indians to death. Okay, that's just history. Whether you like it or not, that's what happened. Okay, so I'm all for history. I'm a big history fan. I like looking at reality, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and there's no question that around the time of the writing of the 14th Amendment, they absolutely hated Indians. They did not want them to be part of American society, and they went through great lengths to exclude them. And when they wrote the 14th Amendment, they put in that clause subject to the jurisdiction of, so that people that were basically of foreign nations, and the Indian nations were considered foreign nations, they wanted to make sure that those people would be excluded, even though they were born on American soil. And it wasn't until the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, right, that they passed a law that said, hey, all American Indians are now automatically citizens. So they had to pass another law to include the Indians. Okay? So regardless of the fact that how you feel about American Indians being included or excluded from American citizenship, what we can do is we can look at the relationship between the United States government, the United States in general, and the Indian people born on this land, to understand why they worded the 14th Amendment the way they worded it, and they did it so that they could exclude certain people, right? Because those people were, members of another nation, the different Indian tribes. So the point of this is that when you look at birthright citizenship in the context of the 14th Amendment, and you see that phrase, and subject to the jurisdiction of, that's the context that you gotta look at it. Okay, they were absolutely trying to exclude certain people that were born on American soil. So what that tells you is that no, just because you're born on American soil does not automatically make you an American citizen if you're subject to that exclusion. Okay, so that exclusion would apply to people of foreign nations. Okay, so that would definitely apply to illegal alien invaders. Okay, people that sneak into the country or come into the country illegally. That would absolutely, without a question, apply to them. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to give you guys that background, that context around the time of the writing of the 14th Amendment, so that you can you understand why they put it there, why who they were trying to stop, why they wrote the words that they did, and you can see how essentially they wanted to keep out foreign invaders who at the time were Indians, now are everybody else trying to come into this country. Okay, so I have a feeling that when this finally does get in front of the Supreme Court, if they ever take it, because the Supreme Court is really big on not taking important cases. Okay, they like to rule on cases on procedural issues, right? They like to dance around it. They like to say, hey, you broke this procedural rule or that procedural rule. They generally, in general, the Supreme Court does not want to make rulings on constitutional grounds, right? Because when they feel that if they do that, they kind of lock themselves into something. So they like to default back to procedural rules. So I have a feeling that if this case ever does come before a Supreme Court, what they're gonna do is the lawyers arguing for excluding illegal alien invaders from citizenship because they're born in the United States. I have a feeling that this is what they're going to refer to, okay? Because this is, in fact, the reason why they put those words subject to the jurisdiction of, and they're going to try and basically point out the parallels between the Indians that they wanted to exclude as being members of a foreign tribe, right? The Indians and their children, and the people that have invaded this country or snuck into this country, into the United States illegally. Okay, so for you guys to think about and research further. Okay, a lot of times the reason why I put these videos up is not because I'm a subject matter expert. Okay, I'm not. I mean, this is not my area of expertise. I'm a gun instructor. My area of expertise is training people to shoot guns. Okay. But I do like to get involved with other things and study other things. So this is something I'm kind of pointing out to you guys, kind of giving you a direction to, to research further. Okay, so drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you soon.